Welcome to an update to the Western Floating Lines for Tenkara video. I made the original floating lines video about 2 years ago, and at that time I wanted to investigate every line type possible that I could attach to the end of my Tenkara rod. What came out of that were 3 videos, one on horsehair lines, one on furled lines, and one on Western floating lines for Tenkara. After those first initial videos, I had so many extra lines lying around that I really didn't have to think about lines for a while. That changed when a couple weeks ago when I got the new tiny Tenkara 3 in the mail. And this rod locks out at 6 foot 7 inches, 8 foot, and 9 foot 3 inches. And so that means I'm going to have to build a few different line lengths and figure out what I want to run on the rod. Since there was some confusion and points of frustration with the original floating lines video, I figured it was a good time to post an update and try to clarify some of those points. Before we get started, I will be doing a full review on the Tiny 10-3, but in the meantime, if you are interested in it, I have an affiliate link down in the description and a coupon code for 5% off. Let's get started.
Our materials are the same as last time with the exception of one item. First up, we have our floating level line. Next, you will need some fly line backing. A leader material. I still love using this Amnesia. And Tippet rings. I went away from using Tippet rings for a while due to receiving some low quality rings with rough edges, but I picked up some of these Japanese made Tippet rings and I couldn't be happier with them. Start with a few inches of fly line backing and form a loop. Now we place our floating line parallel to our loop. Grab the overlapping section, twist and form an overhand knot. Pull tight and trim the tag ends. Loop should be 2 to 3 inches in length. Now tie another overhand knot at the top of the loop, forming a second loop. Next, we pull the line through the loop, place it over our Lillian, and pull tight. Make sure your Lillian has a stopper knot in place. At this point, you can also see the utility of the second loop, which serves as a means of loosening and removing your line. Next, we need to cut our floating line to length. And before we do that, we need to figure out what we want our final length to be. This was a point of confusion in the last video. I mentioned cutting the floating line to about half a rod length, which wasn't very helpful. Since then, I have found that about a 2-foot section of leader material subtracted from your final overall length will give you some good overall proportions. Of course, use this as more of a guideline than a rule, and as you are tying a piece of floating line to your Tenkara rod, you're already breaking all the rules. So do with it as you will. You can get really precise with this if you like. Subtract your 3-inch backing loop, add in additional lengths for knots and trimming, and by all means, bust out your calipers if you like. But for me, in this application, close is close enough. Once we cut our floating line to length, we need to connect our 2 foot of amnesia using a nail knot. I use the tie fast nail knot tool. First, we have the tool in our left hand and place the amnesia parallel to the tool with about 8 to 10 inches exceeding past the tool. Then we take our tag end and wrap it around the tool 7 to 8 times. Then we feed the tag end through the wraps we just created. Next, we insert the end of our floating line into the end of the tool. Now, the magic happens. Grab the end of the amnesia, hold your breath, and give it a quick, hard tug. If you are anything like me, your knot will not be picture perfect, but that's okay. You can massage it a bit while you tighten it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it holds. Next, we tie in our tippet ring. And that's it, we have a completed line. Add a few feet of tippet to the end, and you're ready to go. If you like the looks of the line clip on this rod, there are the Zipwiner V3s, and they are available on my website at gofishingoften.com. The link is in the description. I hope you found this video useful. Go fishing often, and we'll see you next time.